What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwi coach, and give me 6 months of your time, I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to the channel. In this particular video, we're gonna be talking about the 3 common top of swing errors that we see all of you guys do. We're gonna break down exactly, why those are errors, why we don't like them. And then also we're gonna go through exactly the feelings that we typically talk about to fix those errors. So if you're interested in the top of the swing, you got some issues, you wanna fix it, this is the video for you, and let's go jump in. But before we get into the video, I wanna give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Kiwi Golf Japan. If you're too busy or you just can't make it out to our locations for lessons, Kiwi Golf Japan is the membership site for you. With 230 plus videos, we have everything on the site you could possibly want. So go ahead and check out that link down below, and now let's jump into the video. All right. All right, so as you guys can probably recognize, this will be the first top of swing error that we're gonna be talking about. Specifically, we're gonna be talking about cross the line at the top, we're gonna talk about club head height here, and then also we'll talk about the arm structure as well. So let's go ahead and jump into and talk about why this top of swing position that I just did is gonna be something we want to avoid. So just like all of our videos, we typically talk about large range of motion variables, and whenever we want to get something out of the golf swing, it's because it's causing a large range of motion variable to occur. So to give you an example of this with this particular motion, at the top of the swing, the first thing I want to talk about would be the club head height. So the club head is really low at this point in the golf swing. So if I go ahead and keep the angle in the wrist all the way down into the golf ball, I'm going to come in something like this. As you can see, it'd be very, very difficult to hit the golf ball. And even if I did, I would hit the golf ball so low, I probably wouldn't be able to hold any green that I hit. So this would be that at the top of the swing, we're going to have to unload this wrist or unhinge this wrist throughout the downswing, and we're gonna have to time it, right? So that would be a large range of motion variable. Same thing goes for the direction of the club head. If I come down and hit the golf ball like this, well, first off, I'd probably hit myself, right? That wouldn't be very good. And then second, if I actually did hit the ball, it's going sideways, right? So same thing, we're going to have to now flatten the club shaft a large range. We have to stop this flattening so it doesn't continue to get underneath the hands. And then from there, once we kind of get to P5 and we stop the flattening, we have to move it back out towards the golf ball and then hope that we hit the ball, right? So another large range of motion variable. Now, also at the very top, when it comes to the arm structure, I'm not gonna go over this in detail, but this would be also a large range of motion variable because, yeah, we don't wanna do that. We would have to do something like that. You guys kind of get the point by now. Let's start getting into what would be some of the feelings we would have to feel to fix this top of swing that we just showed you. So there's 3 main points of interest when it comes to this top of swing, and we kind of just went over them. The first one's gonna be the club head height. We're gonna have to change this, right? We wanna get the club head above the hands, not below the hands. The second point of interest is the direction of the club head, right? We wanna get it a little bit more in this laid off position as opposed to behind the head. And then the last thing that we're interested in is actually the whole arm structure with the right elbow or the trail elbow. It's heavily internally rotated at this point, so we're gonna wanna get it into more so this fashion, which would be a little bit more of an externally rotated fashion. So these are the 3 points of interest, and when you're working on this by yourself, you wanna pick one point first, fix that, fix the next point, fix the next point. So let's go over the first point, which would be the club head height, and let's talk about feel now. So when it comes to club head height, typically the largest correlator is gonna be in this unhinging or hinging motion, or we call it ulnar deviation or radial deviation. That would be the largest correlator. Now, the more you bend your arms as well, as you can see, that would also lower the club. But for most of the people who have this first issue that we just talked about, it's typically not that they're getting too much bend in the elbow, they're really just getting too much bend in the wrist or radial deviation in the wrist. So when it comes to the feeling of how much, you're gonna have to feel something on the ulnar deviation scale. We don't know what percentage, but you're gonna have to feel something towards this to most likely get rid of an excessive this motion, right? Which would be the club head below the hands. So like I recommend for everyone in our lessons, the first swing that you attempt to fix the club head height, just go to 100%. So 100% in this scenario would be if I ulnar deviated my wrist like this as much as I possibly can, that would be 100%, right? So that would be the how much that we should try to go for. Then from there, in terms of timing, I typically recommend don't try to get it too early on the backswing, because what happens is as you get it so early and you peak out early, in transition, it's easy for the club head to want to fall back and you get into the same spot. So I recommend for the timing, I want you to feel normal all the way until about shoulder height. And then as you approach the top of the swing, then try to max out at the top of the swing with that 100% ulnar deviation feel. And that should fix the club head height at the top of the swing. So the next one is going to be the club head position. And what is going to be the body part that is going to fix that? Well, that's going to be solely done in the wrist movement, this rotation in the wrist, which is going to be supination and pronation, kind of this way, and then also forearm rotation as well. So if I go ahead and I rotate counterclockwise, as you can see, if I bring this up to the top, that would be a really cross the line position at the top. So the opposite motion of this supination and then from here, counterclockwise rotation of the arm would be pronation in the wrist and then clockwise rotation in the forearm. So if I could do that at the right amount, most likely I would not be crossed at the top. I would be closer to this laid off position that I want to have. And just like with the other one, always start out with 100% for the first swing, just so you can see how much it actually shifts. A lot of times you guys have to feel 100% at first, so that's why you probably should start there, right? Why try to go so slow and slowly inch your way towards it? Might as well see what the other side looks like, and then from there, if it is too much, then you can adjust. From here, let's start to get into the timing. So just like the last one, if we start to actually get into this clockwise rotation really early in the backswing, we're going to peak out at that 100% too early. And typically most people, as they approach the top, will actually just start to roll back towards that cross the line position. So it's really important to peak out or get that full 100% at the right time. So don't try to do it too early. My recommendation for a lot of you guys out there, wait till you get right around shoulder height. And then as you start to approach shoulder height, then start to actually go towards that clockwise rotation and then try to reach that full amount, actually somewhere right around P5 on the downswing. So this is slightly different in terms of the timing as the first one when it comes to club head height. But in my opinion, for people who are trying to get rid of across the line, that typically is the timing that really works. Start sometime right around shoulder height, peak out sometime right around position 5 on the downswing. And then in real, you're probably going to look perfect at the top of the swing, and then P5, the club shaft would have just lowered, and you're probably going to cure a lot of the stuff that you want to cure. But that would be how you cure the cross line position at the top. All right, then the last point of interest for this first P4 swing issue is going to be the internal rotation of this elbow. So what would be the opposite motion? Well, it would be external rotation this way, correct? Just like all of these, when it comes to the how much, first swing, I want you guys to feel as much as you possibly can, right? So go ahead with me right now, put this elbow this way as much as you possibly can. For me, this is as much as I can do. This would be 100%, right? So this is what you're attempting to do at the top of the swing. Now, when it comes to timing, again, just like all of these, I think you guys are picking up on the cue here. I don't want you guys to max out too early on the backswing, because then what happens is as you approach the top, it's easy to reduce that amount. It's hard to hold it that long, and then you might see it start to split again as it gets towards the top of the swing, and that's what we don't want to do. So when it comes to maxing out, I typically recommend somewhere right around the top of the swing, start to actually move towards that, and then from there, max out P5 on the downswing. That's actually been a really good feeling that's worked for a lot of our players. And when they actually do that, top of swing tends to shift into the better position. And then in transition, we don't see it split as much in transition as well. So those are the timings that I recommend to fix the first issue when it comes to P4. Let's start getting into some other P4 issues we see. All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube. But before you guys click off the video, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So when it comes to the first swing issue at the top of swing, this by far is the most complex one to fix. You have the club head height, you have the club head position, and you have the elbow. So I think it's really important whenever you have 3 things you're trying to work on, think about those as projects. You have project A, project B, Project C. Don't try to look at Project B when you're working on Project A. Separate them out, it's going to really help. And then what you'll find naturally is the more you work on those separately, they're going to start to come together and blend together without you even really having to try. So that's really, really important. If you guys are still struggling with your golf swings, well, that's where the Kiwi Coach 6-month program comes into play. We just launched our Kiwi Coach online 6-month program, so go ahead and check that out, as well as check out the normal one. Sign up for the membership while you guys are on the site, and I'll see you guys in the next video.